And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're talking about Capital Offensive, a tactical game of violence as a first resort. Always a good sound. This is a game that's based on the universe from Schlock Mercenary, which is a webcomic about space. And it's very, very funny, but at the same time also has a pretty deep story behind it. In fact, I read a novel which was fascinating that was based on this universe. I haven't been reading it that much for several years now, so maybe I need to get back into it. But I enjoyed the game. My opinion again. I enjoyed it without knowing anything about the comic, so you can too. Although I'm sure people who love the comic will enjoy it much more. Let's take a look. Each game of Capital Offensive is a scenario, and the back of the rules booklet has multiple scenarios that you can pick from that show you exactly how to set the scenario up. Although you basically could set up your own scenario if you want. You have double-sided boards that you'll be taking to build, or you can build them any way you want with hallways. You know, there's all sorts of things. You can put these or other terrain on top of the tiles. And so each scenario will usually have players taking control of different characters. And you have different icons or different tokens to represent the characters, but each character has a character sheet down here. And you can see that several of the characters, if you know the series, you'll see that many of these characters come from the series. Several of them popular characters or characters that you don't like, I don't know. But each character will have a certain amount of actions that they can take per turn. They have defense, a move, they have health, armor. The difference between health and armor basically is that armor can be refilled, health usually can't be, and any kind of special abilities that they might have. Now, one of the things that you wanted to do is at the beginning of each round, players are going to put numbers on their characters to show what action turn sequence they're going to go in. And then they're going to take turns going back and forth between these creatures and moving them on the board. Usually you're trying to kill everybody else. There's other things you're trying to do, maybe open a warp gate or something. But what you'll do on your turn is you will be accumulating equipment as the game goes by. And we'll talk a little bit more about equipment, but if you have any equipment here, it's going to slide over one, and it's going to continue to slide over, and eventually your equipment won't be used anymore. So that's to prevent someone from getting too much equipment. But then you're going to move. If you notice here, this koala bear named Petey, a hologramic koala bear, it shows 2 dice, and then it shows an up arrow. What that means is I roll 2 dice, and I can move the higher one. Most of them, the legs here, he rolls 3 dice, and then he rolls the middle one, the median die, which happens to be a 1 in this instance. And so usually that's helping. Here he rolls 2 dice, and he goes the higher one, but it can be a maximum of 4. So that's what that's what she can do. Now, when you're moving on the board, you'll be likely in range and ready to attack somebody else. And you'll often use a attack weapon that you might have, or something that it has here. For example, let's look at this laser pistol here that Elizabeth has. A laser pistol, when you attack someone, you simply declare that you're going to attack them, and then you roll the number of dice. It shows 3 dice. So we look here, and I've rolled a 2, a 4, and a 5. Now, if you notice, there's a little chart underneath here that shows 1 through 6, and the 1 and the 3 there are white. If I had rolled a 1 or a 3, that would be an auto miss. Those dice are instantly removed. So I didn't roll any auto misses, so I potentially hit. But then I need to count how far away on the board is this person. So if, for example, I am shooting at this gentleman here, Kevin, and I'm shooting with my gun at him, and my character is here, and I'm 1, 2, 3 spaces away, the 2 is going to miss. The 2 will not hit. So only the 4 and the 5 will hit Kevin because they're far enough to reach him and they're not auto misses. Kevin will then roll defensive dice depending on how many are on his sheet. He happens to have 3, so he rolls 3. Each defensive die will cancel one die that it is equal to or higher. So the 3s aren't high enough to cancel anything. The 6 can take out 1. So Kevin takes 1 hit. And that is essentially how combat works. And as you take hits, you will be losing health and armor. But you also have other special abilities that you'll be able to do on your turn and move around. And you'll also be able to pick up weapons. I mean, for example, this room sweeper, let's see how close we can get to that. This room sweeper, if you notice, it has a 4 here, which means it starts here, and every time you use it, it's going to go down, and if you don't use it, it also goes down 1 every turn. But you notice that auto hits on a 1 through 6 with 3 dice, while this gauze shotgun auto misses on a 4 and a 6, but oh wow, it rolls 7 dice. And the sniper rifle, which hits on a 4, 5, and 6, but rolls 5 dice. And there's also some special abilities of some of these weapons that you can get, but they're not the only thing. You can get targeting scopes and armor. Here's some armor that you get, and when you get hit, you slide that over rather than taking attacks. Now, there's a couple other things in the game, but essentially, the game is all about moving and attacking, and the main focus of the game is what I just showed you, how the attack works, where you roll dice and attack each other, and you're moving around, and so it's kind of like a miniatures game, except you don't have miniatures, you have little discs that look like this, and they're attacking each other, and the first person to accomplish the goals of that mission are the winners of the game. I like this because, and essentially I love this game because it was just a very simple miniatures game. I love the dice. I love how there's the combat mechanic is just so neat. The auto missing, the range, everything is involved with you rolling dice and attacking with the weapon. And then the defense, it's a very clean system. It sounds complicated, but you're like, boom, oh, these dice don't count. These are within range. You roll defense, you block some, move on. And the weapons, you can get this awesomely powerful, charged up weapon, but it's only going to last so long, so you're not going to clear the room with it. Some scenarios, like the introductory scenario, have a few main characters fighting continually reinforcing swarms of drones that just keep coming and are attacking you with subpoenas, which is funny in and of itself. But I like how the game is essentially a kit where you can build and do more things with. I wouldn't mind seeing miniatures. I wouldn't mind if the, stand-up miniatures, and who knows, for all we know, that's, one of the expansions that we'll see where they'll sell the miniatures. I think that would add even more value to the game because it'd be easy to look at and see where your people are. But that aside, most of the rest of the components are good quality, without the miniatures, of course. But it is a miniatures game. It's back and forth, but it's fast and furious. We're talking 45-minute maximum games, I think, unless you're really trying to drag things out. And that's great, and it doesn't take a long time to set up and play. And there's enough tokens involved and goo guns and different things going on. The one character is eating other characters when he kills them. Things like that are very entertaining and interesting and work well in the concept of this game. So it's kind of a funny miniatures game, but one that I enjoy. Capital Offensive.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.